Hello everyone and welcome to another 3ds Max tutorial. In this tutorial I will show you how to create simple explosion using PhoenixFD plugin for 3ds Max. As you can see here, I have a simple test, so let's play it. So this is a simple explosion. Here length is only 2 seconds, 60 frames, and this is just the basic settings, nothing complicated. So let's start. First and foremost, in this tutorial I'm using meter unit setup. So go to customize, go to unit setups, and here is on generic units is international, and here when you open the system unit setup, 1 unit is equal 1 meter. And for this demonstration now I want to use a geosphere. Let's move it to center. And I will decrease this radius to 1 and increase segments to 40. And let's lift it above this grid. This grid will be our ground. Okay, next step, I wanna make some small imperfections on surface, so I will apply noise modifier and let's use small amount of seed and decrease the scale to small number, and let's play with strength. Okay, next step is to let's create a container for explosion. So here in Phoenix tab you have a lot of options. So here in the first two are containers. So this one is for smoke and fire. Second is for liquid. Here we have some sources for fire, liquid and particles. Select the fire and smoke container and let's create it. I will create it a bit wider because we need some space for explosion. I think this will be okay. We can adjust it later here. As you can see right now, the total cell count is 41,000. So these cells will be our resolution. As we increasing the cells, our resolution of simulation will be higher. But that means also it will take more time for calculation, for rendering, and also will use more memory. So be careful in this segment. Now let's apply our source. So go here and select fire and smoke source and create icon in the scene. Let's select it, go to modifier, go to add and select our geometry. Now let's create the timing for explosion and how it will last. So I want to start from frame 5. Make sure you have selected your fire and smoke source and go here and click auto key mode. Now we will create some keys, and here we have some outgoing velocity, temperature, smoke and fuel and much more. But for now, let's play with outgoing velocity. By default is on 10, but for the explosion we wanna use the bigger number. So for this explosion I wanna use 300. And move slider few frames and start decreasing the velocity. So as you can see here, I created 3 cases. So first one is the maximum, and now is below the middle, and this is the end of the explosion. And as you can see, we have here one key on the 0. So left click and move it to frame 4 before explosion. Why I'm doing that? It's because if you leave it by default on 0, your explosion will start from 0. So that's mean your explosion will start on 0 and incrementing the number to 300 until reach the frame of 5. So we want to avoid that, and we want to create just boom in 1 second, in 1 frame, sorry. Okay, after we finish that, let's deselect this. Now we have keys, but as I'm moving the slider, nothing happens. So that's because we must simulate. To simulate explosion, go here to PhoenixFD tab. You will find the play button, also other buttons. So hit play and wait to see what's happened. Okay, let's stop it. As you can see, we have something now, but for now we just see some cells here. So I want to change this presentation. To do that, select the container, go to preview mode, and here in GPU preview enable in viewports. Now as you can see, we have something. So this is a smoke and this is the fire, but this is too blurry. It's because this is low resolution. Also I want to mention that if you don't like the position of the explosion, you can change it. Just simple select and rotate it, and delete the cache, play again, and play until you find the fine position for your explosion. So I don't want to explode in the side, I want to explode up. So I didn't find the straight up position, but this one looks fine. Sometimes you need to spend more time to find the proper position, but for this tutorial this will be okay. And now as I'm looking to this, first and foremost, I don't like this blurry explosion, so I want to increase the resolution. So let's increase the resolution. Select your container and go to the grid, and as you can see we have 41,000 cells. So let's increase this number. This tutorial I will use 1 million, so it will not be same for you. It depends what machine you have, so make sure to play on safe and don't make some crazy numbers, because that will consume a lot of memory and everything, and it's easy make to crash. So okay, let's resimulate. And before I resimulate, Also wanted to tell that when you're increasing the cell counts, also your explosion will have different look and sometimes will move in a bit different directions. So everything changes. This is the fast look of explosion. It's still okay, but I don't like this transparent smoke, so let's increase density of smoke. To do that, select fire source, sorry, and move down to the smoke. So you have temperature, smoke, fuel, and here on smoke now is only 1 unit. I will change to 10 to make it much denser. And let's resimulate it. Okay, now we have simulation of 60 frames, and let's first and foremost change the numbers of timeline. So let's change from 100 to 60. So let's decrease it, go to time configuration, and here on end time change from 100 to 60. I don't need more frames. And as you can see, already we have something interesting here. And when you're looking this explosion, you can see we have light from this side, and here is a shadow. So this is just from for viewport purposes. So when you rendering this, you don't see the same light. So this is just for viewport. For rendering, you must adjust by yourself. Okay, next step is to create a preview of perspective to see the behavior of our explosion. Now we can hide this object. Find the proper position. And you can use shortcut Shift V or just go to Tools, Preview, Create Preview Animation. Now we have active time segments, so we can use full range of this. Percent of output now is 50, we can use 100. This is optional. So this is high quality, default shading, we don't want to use anything. And you can choose the codec, but I will use default. On perspective, just select create and wait. So let's play it a few times to see how it looks. As you can see, when our explosion reaches these boundaries, it's just disappearing. So to avoid that, you need to change the size of container, but as you increasing the size of container, your resolution will be downgraded. No matters if it now stills on 1 million. So also, as you increasing your container, you must increase the numbers of cells for better resolution. Now for the look development, we will use V-Ray, RT. So let's create basic setup. First and foremost, I will find just interesting frame to do that. And I will use just perspective. I will not create camera. Now let's apply V-Ray RT. And I will use default settings. And let's quick render to see what's going on. And as you see here, we have black background. It's because we don't have any light here. And also our explosion is now looks ugly. Depends on different frame on the time of explosion. And we need to play with the lights. Also we need to play with the colors of the explosion. You will see in a moment. So let's first and foremost apply V-Ray dome light. And from my experience, from before experience, this multiplier is too high now. Let's switch it from 1 to 0.3 and quick render. And let's change the frames. Try different frames to see how it looks with the smoke. Now you can see as I change the frame, our explosion develops some different lights and shadows. Now next step is to change the color of the explosion. So select the container and go to rendering. Here in rendering, open volumetric options. So this is the place where you will apply or develop the color of your fire and smoke. And if we open the fire, as you can see right now, we have here color grade from red to orange. But as you can see, when I hit the rendering, for my taste, this is too bright, and so I wanna apply more orange near to red. So let's do that. I will just simply move this a bit and move this slider further and move this one to near end. So this is the beginning of explosion, this is the end. This is the color what is applied in between. Now you also can change the smoke. You can apply some different options. But for now, let's stay at the default. Feel free to explore. Let's create a quick example. Now, as you can see, now we have much orange and red here in the explosion. And this is what I'm looking for. Final step is to render this. So to render this, we will change from V-Ray RT to V-Ray Advanced. Open render settings. And for this tutorial I will use the 180p to see how it looks on bigger resolution, so you can choose different settings. And let's make some changes here, simple changes. Change this to bucket, change this to free, it's optional. GI, let's apply more light cache. And I will apply some elements like denoiser, and maybe I will add shadows. So let's render this. First and foremost, let's find the position to take a render. So here it is, simple explosion, and it's not too bad. Just you need to find the proper position to make it much interesting. And before I finish this tutorial, I just wanted to show you one last thing before I forgot. Is that if you wanted to render it as a simulation, as a animation, switch from single to active time segments, and this will took 60 frames as we created, and just hit render, and that's it. So that's it, guys. This is the end of this tutorial. So this is how you can create a simple explosion with PhoenixFD plugin for 3ds Max. Thanks for watching.